So this is the kind of pumpkin I like to use for my baking. It's called sugar pumpkin or pie pumpkin. So we are going to start by cutting our pumpkin here in half, and we are going to place him cut size down here on this baking sheet, and he's going to go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 40 minutes or so. It really depends on the size of the pumpkin. But before we put the parchment paper down, let me show you a little trick here. What I like to do, I just like to place some butter on the corner. That'll keep my parchment paper in place. There you go. See, this really helps. So let's check on our pumpkin here to see if the flesh is nice and soft. Yeah, this looks good. So this has been 30 minutes now at 400 degrees. So I'm going to let our pumpkin cool off now, and then we can easily remove the seeds and the flesh. So before I forget to tell you, now is a good time to remove your pastry pie crust from the refrigerator so it can come to room temperature. Okay, so let's focus now on the seeds. We're going to remove these, and I have a link out there with a video of how to dry them and roast them. And it's a video with acorn seeds, but it's the same thing for pumpkin seeds, if you're interested in that, because they're really such a nice addition, you know, for salads or soups or just as a snack in between. And they're very expensive if you buy them in the store. And now the flesh of my pumpkin I'm going to add into my blender. I just like my pumpkin pie to have like a very smooth consistency, but you can break this down with a fork if you prefer that. So that's up to you and your loved one's preferences. There's Bachi. He always stands by my kitchen window. I'm always amazed of how he knows where I am. They also stand by my bedroom window when I sleep and when they think they need to get fed and I need to get up. Okay, so let's go back to our pumpkin here. Okay, let's scrape the sides down a bit. Oh, and I turned my oven on to 425. I'm going to bake the pie at that high heat for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it down to 350. So. Okay, so let me show you how the pumpkin loses its threadiness or so. I'm not quite sure how to explain this, but you know what I mean, right? It turns into this nice puree. Looks like baby food. Okay, so now I'm going to place my pie crust into my pan. Carefully unroll this. And then I'm going to use 1 egg and a little bit of heavy whipping cream. And I'm just going to whisk that together. And with a little brush, I'm going to place that over the rim of my pie. So I'm going to start with the wet ingredients. I have a can of evaporated milk. You want to always shake these cans before you open them because sometimes they settle. And then we have 2 eggs. And I always like to crack my eggs in a little bowl before I place them in all my other ingredients, just in case I have a bad one in there. Give this a quick whisk. And now I'm going to add my pumpkin. And so in case you wondered how much pumpkin we get out of these sugar pie pumpkins, it's about a cup. So now let's place our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. We have some sugar, half a cup. I have a half a teaspoon of salt. I have 2 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Okay. And then I like to use a vanilla bean. I think that goes really well with the earthy pumpkin flavor. And the fresh vanilla I think is really, really good. So if you've never used a fresh vanilla, I'm just going to use half of one here. What you do is you sort of lay it out, try to lay it out straight. And then you go in there with a sharp knife and just split it in half. Can you see this there? Yeah, so. And then you, let me move this out of the way here. And then you sort of fold it open. There you go. Smells so good. If you've never opened a vanilla bean, please do so. Makes such a difference, I think. Okay, so here we go. You see all this? There you go. And now I'm just going to scrape this into my other dry ingredients. To be careful so you don't cut yourself with the knife, but and a half of a vanilla bean goes a long way, so okay. And now I'm going to whisk the dry ingredients together. And now I'm going to add this into our wet ingredients. And just whisk everything together. Look at that. So I like to place my pumpkin pie form on a baking sheet because it's a lot easier to navigate. So let's place this in the oven. So it's been 30 minutes, and I wanted to also show you can test if your pie is done by using a little skewer. So this still needs some time. So I just took my pie out. It was in the oven for 35 minutes, and I wanted to show you how to sort of do that wobble test. You see how it sort of wobbles, but it's not like liquidy. So the wobble is good. We want the wobble for the pumpkin pie. It smells really good. So I'm gonna let this cool off now. Try not to take a bite. Good morning from Alexa's Ranch. So I just fed the boys their breakfast. As you can see, Bachi is munching away here. And we had time change, and I find this all very confusing, so I never quite understand how that all works. I don't know if you have that same issue. I always make pumpkin pie a day ahead because I think the flavors only come together when it actually sits and, in the refrigerator and everything can sort of settle. And so, yeah, so that's what I do. So I made that yesterday. So this morning I'm going to make some whipping cream. So here I am. I've had some breakfast and some coffee. And before I start my whipping cream process, I wanted to share with you a tip. I like to use a metal bowl, and I'm going to place this in the freezer for a few minutes just to cool down, along with the mixer attachments here. And the reason for that is because as we, have this mixing process, we create heat. And so whipping cream, the fat in the whipping creams prefer and have a better consistency and substance when they are cooler. And so I want to support those fats in the whipping cream because I want my whipping cream to have a nice structure and everything. So that's the reason why I always place my bowl and my mixer attachments into the freezer just for a few minutes, just so they can cool down. So for 1 cup of whipping cream, I use a tablespoon of sugar. Make sure you dry off the ends of your mixer attachments here before you place them into the actual mixer, because you don't want any moisture in there. Okay, here we go. So this is how the whipping cream should look. At some point you have to pay attention if you've never done this before. It turns into butter really fast. So get a bigger knife here. Want to make sure we get this out in one piece, huh? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Let me show this to you from the side so you can see the structure. Turned out really, really nice. The consistency and everything has settled. It smells really, really good. And now, there you go. So here we go. Smells really, really good. It smells like the holidays, and sometimes I get tempted during the year to think maybe I should make it, but it's out of the question. I think this is not possible because this is such a holiday thing to eat. And so you can sprinkle some ground cinnamon over the top of your whipping cream if you want, or maybe some ground ginger would be good as well. But I'm going to enjoy this now the way this is, as an early lunch, I guess. And let me know about your holiday baking and about the time change situation. And I will see you soon here at Alexa's Ranch. Bye, bye-bye.